Hi everyone, welcome back to another Screenly tutorial. So it's Friday today, so I figured we'd do something a bit more fun today. So what I have prepared today is a bit of a demo that uses Node-RED, which is kind of a visual programming language that is very common in the IoT world. You can automate things using sensors or various web inputs or API inputs. Essentially, it's a user-friendly way of triggering interactions. And what I'm going to do today is to use a Screenly Anywhere screen, which is a device that can run on, well, it's a Screenly player, it can run on any web browser. And this can, of course, also be done on the regular Screenly player. Actually, it would be better on a regular Screenly player in some ways. But today we're going to use the Screenly Anywhere device just for simplicity and showing the demo how this works. And what I have prepared is essentially a demo using Node-RED, where we set up our screen as we would normally do. And in this scenario, I'm going to walk through and play through a bunch of basically what you would show in a retail environment, in restaurant environment. So if we go into Screenly, I'll start by pairing up my Screenly Anywhere screen so we can start using it. So I have a blank account here, so I'm going to go to Screen, and then I'm going to go to my Screen Anywhere device by any browser window, really. Just go to anywhere.screenlyapp.com or anywhere.screenly.io. And then we just enter the pin code here. So A76YERKB. And I'm just going to, oops, that was an invalid pin. So I'm going to go here and enter my pin, A676YERKB. And there we go. My screen has now been prepared. And as you can see, it will show my default playlist here. So I have some wheat beer ads for happy hour. I have some pizza slides. And then I have another one for a burger. But what we're going to do today is actually use Node-RED to do some automation here. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to spin up Node-RED running in a Docker container on my local device. Obviously, in something real, you would use a dedicated server, but this is just for illustration here. So I'm going to go to my my Node-RED server. So I'm going to reload this. And those who are familiar with Node-RED, you'll be instantly familiar with all the things you can do. So you can link things and basically create a visual diagram of events. To speed things up, I've created a predefined workflow for this. So we're going to use that as a template to speed things up a little bit. But before we do that, we're actually going to leverage one of the UI elements that you can use in Node-RED. So I'm going to install this package called dashboard. And so we're going to install this dashboard. And this gives you a web interface. Obviously, this is purely for illustration, but you can use anything from a motion sensor to a physical button or anything like that to trigger an event in Node-RED. But we're going to use a virtual button, in the dashboard just to make it more obvious for the demo. So we now have this installed. And then I'm just going to copy in my little script here. Oops. I'm going to copy in my little script I prepared here. And I'm going to import. I'm going to post this in the blog post as well, but here we go. So what you can see here is that this is what we've created now. So we create this workflow that it has a trigger, and then it creates this automation. And behind the scenes, it's not super complicated. I'm going to populate these in a second, but all it does is really just toggle this playlist that we defined, and it enables and disables that playlist. It also sets a override playlist feature, which is another thing that you can see in our API documentation. So the first thing we need to do is to find the playlist ID. So what we're going to do, because it's Friday, we're going to do something fun. So we're going to basically do a Rickrolling scenario. So I've created a playlist here that I call Rickroll playlist, and has the Rickroll video with Rick Astley. And the first thing we want to do is to find the playlist ID, because it's something we need for our API to interact with. You could get it from here, and this is the ID here in the browser, but you can also use playlist list, and you can see it from here. So this is the ID that we are going to use. So that's the first data point we need for this automation. So I'm going to go back to Node-RED, and then I'm going to start by saying my playlist ID is this. So I'm going to replace this and paste this in. We then need an API token, and the API token is obviously what we use to authenticate against the backend with. So I'm going to go to my demo account here, go to settings, security, tokens, and then I'm going to say Node-RED. And then I'll add that token. I get this token from here, so I'm going to copy that, paste it in here, and then I'll hit save. You also see that we have here call out off seconds, and that basically means that it will be disabled. So imagine you have a motion sensor that triggers a sensor. You also want to turn it off after a while. So that's basically what we're doing here. You're setting this to 30 seconds. It would turn off at 30 seconds. All right, done. I have some logging in here as well. You can remove that if you want, but it can be helpful for debugging. So I'm going to hit deploy. And when I do that, I can then go to this website, same but /UI. And I have this button, and I can press the toggle override. And if I press this, and imagine this being, for instance, a motion sensor that triggers on a device, or a physical button in a museum. Imagine you want to have a button that triggers some kind of video on the screen for an exhibition, for instance. You can use this framework for all that. But again, I want to be a bit more playful today. So here we go. I press the button, and let's see if it works. Boom. And Rick Astley. Sorry. The delay was set to 5 seconds. So it's actually not this value. It's actually this value. So let's try to deploy that again. And then we trigger it. Oh, did I press? Oh, I didn't press. There we go. And there we go. And there we go. So now we actually have a bit longer than 5 seconds, and we have the video. And when the time is up, it will revert back to regular playlist. So it will be back to normal operation. So this is a fun way to use Screenly to kind of either build interactive exhibitions, or you can build what you use to Rickroll people. But it just highlights what you can do with API. And obviously there are a lot more serious use case you can use this for than Rickrolling, but I figured that would be a good way to end the weekend. So check out more. You can find more details on the developer documentation at developer.screenly.io. You can find our CLI at github.com/screenly.cli. You can install it for all the different platforms. You can do all of these automations using the CLI as well, by the way. So there you have it. Check out the description of the video. You'll find all the source code for all you need. And that's it. That's all I have for today.